Hi, this is Chris Newson. Welcome to the Root Cause Analysis podcast, where we'll take our listeners right to the heart of the important EHS issues. We're coming to you live from Woodland Grange, a conference and hotel venue in the Midlands. So welcome to the latest episode of the Root Cause Analysis podcast. If you're a regular listener or viewer, our guest today will be very familiar to you. We've got Leila John, Chartered Member of IOSH, with us today. Leila is one of our brilliant MakeUK consultants, so she helps our members with all sorts of EHS problems, and somehow within all of that role she's managed to achieve Chartered Membership of IOSH over the last few months. Few months, let's call it that. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chris.
Leila.
Nice to be here.
Yes, we've done this many times before, but it's always been online.
Virtual, indeed, yes.
This is the first time we've done this face to face, isn't it?
Rather strange, yes.
Yeah. Do you like the studio?
I like it, yes.
Very nice, good, excellent. Right, so I've got a series of questions. What we're trying to do here is, the good news is that you've got through everything. You are now a Chartered Member of IOSH.
Oh, yes.
You can breathe again.
Yes.
And all the, as you know, because you were there, we've given snippets of your journey all the way along. The idea here is to just bring it all together and help our listeners and viewers and who might be going through the same journey benefit from your experience.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so question one, can you walk us through that journey to Chartered Membership? What motivated you to pursue it, and how did it go in general?
Sure. So starting off with was the MakeUK diploma.
Okay.
First and foremost, get that under your belt. And it was kind of that made me realise that knowing how much work and effort goes into that, don't really leave it there. Not when there's opportunity to develop more on that.
Yeah.
And of course, when you are successful in obtaining your MakeUK diploma, you are then able to go in, I think it's straight as grad IOSH for the IOSH certification, or it might be called Cert IOSH now. I think it changed to that,
it used to be grad, it's now certified.
That's
right,
the same
thing.
Yeah. And then joining the wonderful MakeUK as an EHS consultant, it was sort of like a natural part of the course of where I wanted to be. So it's always kind of been that's my goal, that's my end game. Accelerated a little bit because, of course, joining MakeUK, I want to be there with all the other consultants, as you do. So applied for it, realised all the hard work and effort that also goes into that, of course, as I'm sure you've all seen over the past 12 months, I think it's been. Yeah. So applying for it, understanding what the requirements were, looking at what is it that I had to do, and prepare for all the assessments and the exam and all that sort of good stuff, and then the technical interview at the end. And there we go. So that's kind of where we've got to.
It sounds like great fun all the way along.
It was great fun all the way along.
Was it really?
Yes.
Very sincere.
A little stressful, yeah.
Can you walk us through the steps that you went through to get to be a Chartered Member?
Yes. So as said, successful in your diploma, become certified member of IOSH for a period of time. And then you apply to be chartered, and that's then having a look at doing your, first of all, the exam, the multiple choice exam that we've talked about on one of our root causes before, then doing the assessments, part A, part B, being successful with that. Once you're successful with that, then booking in your peer review with IOSH themselves. And that's basically that technical interview that I had with a couple of IOSH members, and that would sort of talk me through, how would you do this, what's this? So kind of giving you that technical review at the end. Yeah. And then being told at the end of that, congratulations, you are now a Chartered Member.
Amazing. What a great thing.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
And I'm just interested, from I remember you having the interview, and we talked about it on the last time we talked on the podcast. What was the time gap between you having that interview and driving home and then getting an email to say?
It was an email, yes it was. Well, I was actually informed when we left the interview, it would probably take about 3 weeks. Right. 3 days.
Oh, okay, nice.
A little bit of awesomeness. I think I was very happy with that, as you can imagine.
Perfect.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, thank you for that. What were some of the, through that journey now, what were some of the bigger challenges that you had, and I suppose how did you deal with them?
Sure. So one of the biggest challenges, and I think I've said this to our viewers before, is that I have to work very, very hard at stuff. It doesn't come easy to me, so I've really got to put in effort. Not one of these wonderful whiz kids that can just pick stuff up and off they go. Never been like that.
I can relate.
So just realising the actual work that goes into it, realising the time that you need, having and making that time available, but also not underestimating what you're about to do. That was a huge challenge, because I would love to say I just completely relaxed throughout all of it. I wasn't. I was a bag of nerves the whole time, because knowing how much I have to work for it. Yeah. So it's really a case of don't underestimate it, make the time, put in the effort, do what you need to do to get across the finish line.
Yeah. And from having sat on the panel bit, some years ago and interviewing people, that how nervous people are when they come in, just on that stage of the process is it's clear, it's really obvious. And I think what you said there, to me, it's because it's so important.
Yes.
It means a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And there are lots of reasons it's important, but mainly it means a lot.
Yeah.
And so, I think if you're, if you know that and it's in your head and it genuinely does mean something to you, you're liable to do it properly and put the right effort into it.
Yes, put yourself under a lot of pressure.
Yes, which isn't always the right thing to do.
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah. and you talked there about, I don't know whether you use this word, but sort of underestimating or the time and the effort that's required. Yeah. So there is a considerable amount of time and effort required, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. Because when you get you can now go and register for your exam, you can register for your assessment, you get access to the IPD part of the portal, if you like, and there's so much information in there, and there's so much there to help you prepare, that pretty much from the moment you look at that, you sort of go, yes, there's a lot of information in here, which means that it's going to be a lot of effort. Yeah. And again, if it doesn't come naturally or easily rather to you, then it is a case of headspace now. I've got to focus on this. I've got to make sure I've got the end goal in sight, but I'm actually taking it as it needs to go and putting in the effort. Yeah,
fantastic. So we've talked about how difficult the journey was, or how much effort and time is required. Has undertaking this journey, has that impacted on the way you approach health and safety management or health and safety problems?
Absolutely. It's made me very aware of the fact that there is so much information out there. There are so many resources out there that don't necessarily take your first response as that's the be all and end all. Go do some research. It kind of guides you down the route of, yes, you're going to know your stuff, and of course you're going to know your stuff, but actually don't forget there's so much more out there. So this is how you research, this is what you go and look at, and these are the areas that you use. Don't always go to hsc.gov.uk. There's loads of other stuff out there as well as that, like the IOSH site, member site as well. Loads of information on there. So it's about how you can, or rather how I can now as a health and safety professional, go, yes, I know it's that, but I want to know more, and I want to give more to the members so that they're not just getting me, they're getting me plus all the resources that I've got access to. Yeah.
And health and safety is one of those fields where there's lots of information and there's developments all the time. And,
yes.
Most of it's freely available.
Yes.
So,
thankfully.
It's there. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about research, and this is sort of linked to that. And what sort of resources did you find most useful in the process? And I'm particularly interested in what your thoughts are around mentoring and having people to help you along. Any sort of thoughts on that?
Definitely. Mentoring, I absolutely could not have got through it without am I allowed to say the wonderful Lee Hamilton?
Yes, we've said it, but I agree.
That's wonderful. I couldn't have done it without him. Yeah. But also our fantastic consultants, every single one rooting for you along the way, but also there for you to be able to bounce thoughts off, ideas, frustrations, struggles, you name it. And even one of our consultants, the lovely Charlotte, who was on the journey with me as well, taking that time, although not necessarily mentor-mentee side of things, but kind of two mentees, just bouncing ideas off each other. What's your thoughts on this? What's your take on that? How would you think about incorporating that? So it's absolutely fundamental, I think, if you are going to go on this journey.
Yeah.
You need that support. And unless you are a whiz kid that can do it all by yourself, of course, which I'm not.
Well,
so, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone is really, but my thoughts on that, for what it's worth, are even if you are a what did you call it? Whiz kid. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean in health and safety? You know everything. You know the laws and so on. You know the mentoring bit is still incredibly valuable because it's not this field that we're in is yes, there's laws and there's guidance, etc. But there's a lot of opinion, there's a lot of experience, and so you said earlier, more or less, that the combined efforts of everyone are really critical. And so we've got to be, as health and safety practitioners, we've got to be the kind of person that's happy to go and ask someone else and collaborate. And I'm sure you get people asking you. It works the other way.
To collaborate, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest takeaway as well is that it's okay to not be the best at everything, to not know everything, because having that mentorship out there, that is your dare I say, bucket to dip into and go, I need help with this, and there will be someone there that can help you. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, and that is what health and safety is all about. So it's good that going through this sort of, I'm sure you already knew that really, but sort of points people in that direction.
Yeah.
And it's just worth mentioning, from my experience, again, looking from the other side, I'm surprised by the number of people who are, say, students of ours that will contact us about mentoring. We're always absolutely happy to help them through that journey. And they weren't aware at stage one that they either should have or were entitled to have a mentor. So I think that's something that's not made that obvious to people.
It's definitely something we should champion more then, because it's there to help. And it does help so much.
Yeah,
so,
and yeah, absolutely. And it's an official thing, if you like, that IOSH recommends. Yeah. But it just surprises me the number of people that aren't aware that that would be a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Good, agreed. Right. So we talked about mentoring. Are there any other examples of sort of professional networking? Any sort of, I don't know, have you joined any groups or anything like that, or spoken to other people?
So the groups thing, I've signed up to as many of the IOSH sort of groups. There's a Southwest, which is obviously where I'm based, so that's kind of perfect. There's an oil and gas industry, which is where I've come from, so I always like to keep my toes in the water with that one if I can. But from a networking point of view, I am incredibly fortunate that obviously the job I'm in, I get to speak to the world and his wife pretty much all day, every day. So I am able to network as much as possible with our members, perhaps with not necessarily members, but members of MakeUK that perhaps just need a bit of EHS support, all that sort of stuff. So the opportunity to network and kind of build that information is just constantly there for me. So the IOSH side of things, although I have joined up, and there's been a couple of fantastic webinars, by the way, that I've attended recently. But really, for me, the networking is all about the people I get to see and talk to every day, and the differences that we all have, and sort of the different understanding and awareness.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and that in your answer there, you would expect. You're surrounded by a number of other professionals in the consultancy team, but as you said there, you also talk to a lot of our members, and we have lots of member events where people collaborate virtually or face-to-face, usually virtually these days. Yeah. And, it doesn't matter who you are, everyone's got a view, and that's collaboration, isn't it?
Absolutely,
so, what a great job.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting, Okay, so here's a really, I think, all these questions are important, but here's a really interesting one. I know, and you've just explained how much effort and time work is required. So any advice? Well, first of all, how did you manage the balancing your very busy job with getting to be a chartered member and all the stuff that you talked about at the beginning?
So time management used to be something I was very good at.
Okay.
I think I could have done better when it came to this. I am one of those that definitely underestimated the effort that was to go even knowing how much more I would need to give, considering how I adapt to things. So I felt that, I'd put this time away to do some research. I'd put time away to purely focus on the exam side of things, then purely focus on the assessment. And realistically, it wasn't enough. So looking back, if I was able ever to do it again, first of all, I would say, are you sure? But then I go, no, of course you do. But it would be absolutely realistic. And wherever you can, make sure you have that time available, but not just time to do it, time to actually focus. That's a bit different to having time, because you can say, oh, I'll have 3 hours this evening, but actually by the time family come home or whatever, are you able to actually focus? And it is focus time that you need. So looking back, and indeed for anyone out there that's thinking of doing this, make sure you have that dedicated focus time to be able to do this, because it takes a lot. And that's something I didn't really factor in enough.
I mean, to a degree, it's difficult to know how much time and effort. I mean, people could tell you all they like how much time and effort's required, but no one's going to give you a number of hours that you need to spend, because it's different for everyone. So did you find... Did you have to be sort of flexible? Did you end up spending more time on it than you'd planned to towards the end?
Yes, towards the end. Certainly for the Part A, Part B assessments, I'd actually put aside, with the help of MakeUK, I think it was 2 days that I had for that. And it was 2 days at the end of the 7-day time frame that you have. So of course it was right up to the wire. Of course it was, because of the amount of research, the amount that I needed to do, the amount of brainstorming, these mind map things. To be honest, haven't used a mind map in a long time. Needed one for this. It was very much a splurge everything down and see what's going on, pick the bits out of it, and off you go. So certainly you get this 7-day period in between from when you you used to get where you pass the assessment, and then you get 7 days to do A and B. Take all of that time. Not necessarily solid 7 days, don't breathe, don't move, anything like that, but be realistic that 2 days at the end of it is not enough. You're going to need to be thinking about it, you're going to need to be doing it, you're going to need to be structuring it before you get to that point. And in all of that, now I think that's great advice there's lots of bits in there, but that last bit's great advice for people that are going through this journey. Another question, obviously you've got a fantastic employer that's fully supportive. Right. Yeah. Correct. Very
answer.
much so.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's say someone's going through this journey, and I don't know if this happens, but let's say they're finding it difficult to get their employer to, give them the time to do it, and they're expected to do it all in their own time. What do you think about that, and how would you advise them to go about getting their employer to change that? Okay,
so maybe not advise them. I'd be advising employers at this point. That you're obviously enabling this person to achieve this chartered status of IOSH. It's a big deal. It really is. It's important. So if you want them to be that for your company, because it's going to benefit your company, then put the effort into the person. Allow them to become chartered, because it's going to benefit you hugely. So maybe not the people doing it, but employees. If you know someone who's working on this, help them out, because it's going to benefit you as much as them.
And that's fantastic. And it's switching that mindset. And again, I don't know if anyone has this really, but it's switching that mindset from this level of professional recognition is about the individual and doesn't help me at all as a company. Well, it does, because in lots of ways, someone that's a chartered member has learnt and knows all the things that you've just talked about. So that company has now got a greater resource.
Exactly.
And just from a financial point of view, they invested probably quite a lot of money in training them to that level.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you just do the bit at the end, to sort of finish everything off?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly that, Chris.
Yeah, excellent. Brilliant. Let's do that. So, last question. What is next? You've got to the Chartered Member grade. What is next for you?
So for me personally, the whole continuous. So professional development,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Continual is the important word. That's where you've got to a point where you have made improvements,
Yeah.
but actually you can take time to let it settle and take that moment to go, wow, this is rather awesome, before I then think about what is next.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where I am.
Excellent.
I have worked towards chartership. You have felt my pain every step of the way. I mean, my enjoyment every step of the way. And I've got it, and I'm absolutely thrilled to beans. I really am. But I want to take time now to kind of not revel in it, but just take the time to enjoy it for a moment, understand what it means, understand what it's like for Leila as a person, because I've met other chartered people, and I want to take this down the route of what I think chartership should be.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I want time to think about that before I then think about what is next.
Yeah.
Not necessarily foot on the brake for however long, but just, I don't know, maybe the next sort of 3-6 months, just to go, let's chill for a bit and let's see what the future holds.
Yeah. I mean, excellent. Yeah, I mean, and I think, there's a point there around the process of being chartered not always, it's certainly for the last 10 years or 15 years, it's been very detailed and arduous and good and so on. It's obviously changed a little bit more, and it's become even more of all of those things. But it really should mean something when you get there.
Yeah.
It's about, I agree, you've got there thinking what you do next, but not sort of, you're not rushing into it. And also,
exactly
what you talked about, all the time and effort that it's taken. I mean, you can't keep
take a bow.
Exactly, you can't keep running at that level. Yeah. And of course, continual professional development is in health and safety. We're just doing it anyway.
Yes.
Just talking about something. And I think this is something that people sort of misinterpret sometimes. Just talking about something, or going to maybe it's an internal webinar or briefing that we have. Maybe you're delivering it. Those are all opportunities.
Yes.
They're all actually, you are developing, and so you can very easily add those to your CPD blueprint.
100%. And if I may, IOSH of late have sent out some bangers of webinars. They have been absolutely fantastic. Yeah. I wish I could remember the name of it, but the last one on the whole, they had this wonderful lady, if I'm allowed to say, Tracy Dangerfield from Skill Based First Aid. Right. She was on there talking about stress and the 5 pillars of stress, and it was absolutely incredible to listen to. That's going straight on my CPD, because that, for me, I learnt loads from that, and it was, I think, about an hour and a half of my life, and that, for me, is perfect. Yeah. Those little bite-sized chunks, and they're available to us as IOSH members, so go and have them.
Yeah, and that's really, obviously, good advice, and all you have to do, in that example, all you have to do is listen, absorb it,
turn
make
up
some
and
notes
listen.
if you want to.
Absolutely.
And I think, I'm getting on a little bit of a hobby horse here, people say about blueprint and CPD, I've got to do these things from IOSH and this e-learning and write everything down. Yeah. You don't have to do the IOSH things there. That is an IOSH thing, but it sounds like it's very useful. But do whatever to develop your own competencies in whatever area you want to, and it's just all you have to do is record how much time you spent on it and a few key details. Absolutely. Even if it's just a little bit of research, record it. Yeah, exactly. It's you improving. Yeah. Fantastic. Brilliant. You're an advocate for IOSH. Yes, it was awesome. Well, there you go. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so thank you very much, and again, congratulations on achieving
can you believe it?
Milestone. I can believe it. So thank you. Nice to see you. Yes, and you too. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed today's show. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes, and I'll see you on the next one.